Like when you're laying in bed and you just can't fall asleep, like the answer is not to just keep laying in bed. Like you've got to get up, you got to move around, got to change your environment.
JLD, I want to ask you, how do you feel now being back in Puerto Rico from your Euro trip, and what is one of your memorable experiences from the trip?
Man, a lot of memorable experiences from this trip. I mean, Kate and I spent 90 days literally traversing the world from Fiji to Latvia to Poland to France. I would honestly say my most memorable thing, though, like the first thing just popped up into my mind when you asked that question. We took a 42-kilometer bike ride around Annecy Lake in France, which is right on the Switzerland border. And man, just kind of being outside in the fresh mountain air, biking around this beautiful lake. I mean, that's something that'll stay with me forever.
That's incredible. Let me ask you, were you able to fast while you were traveling?
I did do a couple of daily fasts, not too many over those 90 days because, it was Europe, so I wanted to eat a lot of great food, but a couple days.
No, it's true. I mean, I remember traveling around Asia this summer and having to fast and trying to fast was really hard. So I can imagine. So how has it been actually being back and being refreshed? Has it really helped you with your productivity and everything you've been doing with your business?
Yeah, it's been great getting back into the routine. I'd really say that my sleep scores have increased. I use the Oura Ring to really track my sleep. And, as much as I want to pretend that like sleeping in a different Airbnb every 5 to 6 days, like is fine. It wears on you, and there's street noise and there's things going on you can't control in a new bed in a new environment. So my sleep's gone through the roof since I got back in a positive way. My eating habits have really regulated again and got back into the workout routine and all of that jazz. So love traveling, love those whole experiences, but it's nice getting back into the routine to really optimize health and wellness.
That's awesome, because I know that's really important to you. And
very,
for me, this whole podcast is called Creative Haven, and it's really about just interviewing a lot of people, whether it's artists or creatives or entrepreneurs, about the role of creativity in their lives, and really inspiring people to really pursue creativity, artistic, and express themselves through art or whatever they're passionate about. I wanted to ask you, how's creativity played a role in your business?
It's been the thing that gives me the aha moments. I mean, I've always found that surrounding myself with the right people who are in different industries, different verticals, different life experiences really gets me kind of outside of that box of just being like thinking in one-dimensional directions and get more creative and just think about things in 3D, think about things outside the box. We can just kind of get so stuck in our own world. We can get stuck in that little rut that's in the road there and nothing gets done. And I mean, we can really extrapolate this out, to a bigger thing. It's like, why has some certain areas and people evolved so incredibly slowly while people like in other regions of the world, are literally landing on the moon, while you have some cultures that are still like, working with spears and trying to make fire. Well, it's just like the people that have landed on the moon, like they were forced to be creative. They were forced to find ways to keep themselves warm. They were forced to find ways to creatively, find food. They were forced to ways to survive. And like that just creativeness led to where we are today. It's the same thing in our business. Like you have to learn from other people who are different, who are trying new things. Like that's why the masterminds that I go to and the conferences that I attend, like I'm always just like, okay, which one of these talks like do I just have the least knowledge about? And like that's the one that I want to go to, because like that's the creativity that's going to spark these new aha moments within me.
That's beautiful. I mean, do you find times during the day or during the week where you, I guess, get into a flow state or in a creative space to actually come up with new ideas for your business?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to journaling for me. For me, journaling is the time where, I'm not getting distracted by email and social media and this and that and whatever it might be. And it's just a time for me to write down my thoughts, kind of get into a flow state. I always have my journaling be right after my meditation session. So my meditation is just kind of a place I can try to clear my head. And then I move into the journaling to kind of get some thoughts out, to kind of get some fresh, new creative ideas and really kind of spark that. Because again, if I'm not doing that on a daily practice, there could be weeks or months that go by when I'm not doing anything different to move my business forward or to at least try new things in my business that may or may not work.
That's right. Because I feel like with meditation and journaling, it really just kind of gives you kind of just an empty blank canvas just to express yourself. And do you find yourself doing that in the morning and at night or after your hikes?
It's
When do
part of
you?
my morning routine. So pretty
Gotcha.
much to rip through my morning routine, which is very much like a step-by-step process over 90
Hmm.
minutes. But I'm up by 6 a.m. I'm out for a nice long walk here in Puerto Rico. I get back, I have my workout session with Jeff, and then I hit the Peloton bike for 30 minutes. Then
Mm,
I'm jumping into my infrared sauna to sweat things out a little bit. Then I'm
nice.
coming up, I'm showering, brushing the teeth, like getting all that stuff taken care of. So then when I move into my office for the day, then I'm
Mm,
like, okay, now I'm kind of flipping into kind of going away from, actual physical health, self-care, now into mental health care. And that's when I
mm,
sit down on my Chase Lounge in my office and I do some meditation. I use a really great tool called Muse, Muse, that's
mm,
literally measures the brain waves as you're meditating. So you can see afterwards, like, how much did you get into that flow state that you're talking about? And sometimes
mm,
I crush it, and sometimes I'm horrible, and sometimes it's in between. But it's good to know, just like how I track my sleep with the Oura ring. Sometimes I crush it, sometimes I don't, but it's good to know, and then I can try to like
mm.
see why and how I was. And then after that, I'm journaling. So it's a morning thing for me. I think it'd be a great practice to also be kind of journaling at night before you go to bed to kind of like write some thoughts and ideas down. And
Mhm.
frankly, I just haven't done it, mostly probably out of pure laziness. But this conversation might inspire me to put a journal by my bed now and start to pick it up and just write a couple things down at night. So I want to thank you for that.
Of course. Well, JLD, I'll never consider you lazy, to tell you the truth. I'll be honest with you, your mastery journal has really changed my life. I
Oh
think
man, that means a
that,
lot. That's my best
oh,
work ever, by the way.
oh yeah, just the nine, yeah, I would say 9 tasks to do in the morning to really get a habit forming. It's great that you've left them empty because it gives you room to grow and actually modify it according to how life is, because really do evolve,
That's
as
right.
you grow. And then I wanted to ask you, after you've done all this mindset, I would say priming in the morning, what do you go for first? Do you do mostly like shallow work and get into emails? Do you jump into, I guess, the most important hard work of the day, like eat that frog? Like, what do you do right after you've, really set up your mindset for the day?
So I do believe that every day we kind of have a tank of like awesome mental bandwidth, and you're
Mm,
using that kind of figurative gas tank throughout the day, going lower and lower and lower. So I really do like to use my first focus session, which of course from the Mastery Journal what that
mm,
word means, like the focus session, like a 35, 45 hour time block, however long
mm,
I block that out with, as just my most creative time. Like that's gonna be my
mm.
most creative time. So right now, I actually just signed a book publishing deal with HarperCollins Leadership. So my manuscript's
Congrats.
due April 30th. So what am I doing now? I am using my first focus session of the day to work on my book. Because guess what?
Mm,
So many people are like, oh my God, I don't have like 5 hours to write today. And so I'm going to wait for the day that it happens. And
mm,
then 20 days go by and you've worked 0 hours. Well, guess what? After 20 days, I'll have worked 20 hours because of that, and 20 quality hours because it's my freshest time. Then after that first focus session, I do what I call the internet sweep. Because, I do get to
mm,
check on like emails and social medias and this and that to kind of like do like a sweep. But I've got that down pat where I'm typically taking between 15 to 25 minutes to kind of do that full
mm.
sweep. Then I'm back into my focus session number 2, 3, 4, and then I try to shut things down in the early afternoon because I don't need to be working all day. So I don't. And that's kind of my rhythm.
You know what? I'm really glad I taught you about that because I was putting all four focus sessions back to back, and
Well,
it
you were
was.
doing the refreshes in between the focus sessions always, right?
Yes. Yeah, I
Okay.
was doing 50 minutes and then 10-minute refreshes.
Okay.
But I think I realized that what you were just talking about right now, that around after 2 focus sessions back to back, I needed a break. And I actually
Totally.
spent that time talking to my assistant about just what to do for the day and everything. And it's been a really helpful journal. So thank you so much for that. I really do
So, and
appreciate that.
I will say I actually always have a lunch after my second session. So I'm taking a big break. And sometimes I don't do 4 sessions. Sometimes I'll do just 1 session in the afternoon. Like 4 to me is like that'd be the ideal day that I get 4 sessions done. But sometimes I don't feel like doing 4. And sometimes, by the way, I do, and I do 5 or 6. So like, to me, like 4 is like what I think people should shoot for, but don't be hard on yourself if you only do 3. And if you're just feeling unbelievably creative and inspired, go for 5.
JLD, thank you so much for that. I was getting mad at myself for not doing 4, and just to hear it from you,
No,
that
release that.
that's it's inspiring. Thank you.
Release
So,
it.
how about for you when you have those days where you're not on it, when you do feel, I guess, low on the muse and on your aura, how do you, I guess, recharge, or what do you do? Do you just say, you know what, this is in the day, I'm not really productive, my mind's not in the right state. Do you find time to relax, or do you find ways to push through and get things done?
It's usually the latter. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, and by latter, I mean the latter, which was I don't force it. I
Mm-hmm.
really do not force it. Like for me, I'm not going to create my best work. And if I'm not creating my best work, if I'm not feeling it, then I just don't want to create work that day. So
That's right.
I'm going to step back and I'm going to relax. Now, of course, there's days and there's deadlines and there's, interviews and there's things sometimes that I can't. I do have to push through it. And I typically do realize when I do push through it, I'm like, you know what? It's not so bad. Like I'm actually now getting kind of energy from just the action that I'm taking. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like if I don't have to force through it, I'm just going to step back. I'm going to grab my Kindle. I'm going to go down by my pool, lay on my hammock. I'm going to read a book that I'm enjoying, about Roman history and just
Nice.
enjoy life. And guess what? There's a lot of years where I didn't, in some ways, couldn't do that because I was really just so pedal to the metal building the business.
Mm.
But I'm here now. Like I've done what I wanted to do, and I definitely want to keep doing more. But I realize that it doesn't have to all happen today.
No, I love hearing that from you because I follow you on Instagram. And I know that you had a post about how you were challenging yourself to hike 2 times a
Yeah,
day,
twice a
and
day
you actually built that into a habit, and
for
I
75
actually
days. Yeah.
it's amazing. Do you still do that?
Nope, not yet, because I was gone for the 90-day trip, so I kind of
That's right.
came back. I'm giving myself a couple weeks to get back into a flow, and then
Mm.
I'll see what my next challenge is after that. But it's probably going to be to do at least one Peloton session a day because I
Mm.
have the Peloton just installed this morning.
Amazing. And then I was going to ask you. I know that on these hikes and you're on Peloton, you usually listen to, I'm guessing, podcasts. Do you ever,
Absolutely.
do you ever listen to music? Like whenever you feel like, okay, I've had enough podcasts for today. You want to relax, by the pool, read a book. Do you have any music that you listen to?
So I listen to music all day while I'm working. I
Yes.
use an app called Focus at Will, and
Okay.
I love that app. And so there's always either acoustical or classical
Mm.
or blues or jazz or alpha chill. Like they have all these different kind of like quote unquote stations. So there's never words because I don't want that kind of like subconsciously tugging in my mind while I'm working,
Hmm.
but it's always music. Like I don't like to just sit here in silence and just like have like, like be pounding away on emails or whatever it might be. But absolutely, I have music going on like 90% of the time that I'm working in here.
You know what, JLD, I'm really glad I had this call with you because my mind always thought of you just robotically going throughout the day, getting things done, and just to
I
hear
am
this.
JLD. I
Yeah.
get work done.
But you just have this great free flowing schedule,
Bro.
and you're going with your flow state, you're relaxing when you need to, and it's just really inspiring to hear that because a lot of entrepreneurs and also creative people, they ask me, how do I stay disciplined,
Yeah.
and what do I do every day when I'm not inspired? And sometimes I tell them, you have to get inspired, or do you rest? That's my question. Like, what would you tell entrepreneurs or creative people when they hit that rut, when they hit that, they can't come up with ideas or they just can't feel inspired? Like, what would you tell them?
You've got to get out of your comfort zone. That's the problem. You're in a
Mm-hmm.
rut because you're just sitting there in your comfort zone. You've got to get out. You've got to surround yourself with people. You've got to find a mastermind of people that are going to encourage you, hold you accountable. You've got to go to events that are like interesting to you, but still, a little scary. You've got to go out for walks and hikes. Like you just got to move and change your environment. Like, it's just like those people know it. Like when you're laying in bed and you just can't fall asleep, like the answer is not to just keep laying in bed. Like you've got to get up, you got to move around, got to change your environment, go somewhere, sit down, read for a bit, get a little sleepy, then go back in bed and lay down and fall asleep. Like that's what you have to do in this world. I mean, to me, it's always been getting out of my comfort zone.
No, I love that. It's because I feel that with creativity, the idea of just really changing your environment really does create kind of makes your brain have to work. It
So,
just you
so
just have
true.
to you have to just adapt. And so I know we only have a minute left, and you got a busy schedule today. So I wanted to ask you, when it's time to turn off the brain, when it's time for you to relax, and it's nighttime, you've done everything you needed for the day, and you're feeling good. What do you do? What is something that you like to do to actually just relax and turn in for the day?
Something I do love doing is just pleasure reading. Like I just like being outside as the sun's going down, reading a book that I enjoy, just pleasure reading, taking in the sounds of nature and, seeing the sky kind of turn, pink and then into dark, and then hearing what we have in Puerto Rico called coquis, of these little frogs. They come out in the evening and they start going coqui, coqui, and just kind of hanging out. And, if I have like friends or family over, or if Kate's in the mood, like we'll hit up a game of cribbage or a game of cards. Like we love playing Monopoly Deal, and just kind of having a nice little fun way to kind of, put a separation between the workday and the evening, and make it happen.
Amazing. Well, JLD, thank you so much for getting on this call. Really appreciate everything you've been doing, really, helping people out with your podcast, as well as all your masterminds and KBB. And I'll see you down in PR soon.
Yes, can't wait, brother. It was great chatting.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Haven podcast. And if you dig it and like what you heard today, please give us a nice review and rating, and share it with one of your friends that you think needs some creative inspiration. You can always find more content and resources at thecreativehaven.com, and hit me up on Instagram at Mitchel Dumlao. And if you want to reach out, collab, or ask any questions, you have my permission to slide into my DMs. So keep positive, continue to learn and hone your craft, and create all day. Salamat.